Expert opinion on a small sprite. All right, what do you got? You got a sprite for me or posted something on Discord? Can you tell me where you're at with it? Like what your goals are? Mainly posture. Okay, I can talk about posture. So right now it's looking pretty flat, and it looks flat because you've got like, right, everything is pretty much facing us. You've got a little bit of a tilt, but as a pose, it's maybe a little static. I don't mind the knee coming forward and this one coming back. That's kind of cool. So my question for you would be, what do you want this character's pose to feel like? Who is this character? Are they cool? Are they clumsy? Are they strong? Are they fast? What are their attributes? Oh, it's a monster. Okay, so it's not a character. Right, but you have to think about, there's more questions. But I did a mage for Prime's jam, and we ended up making it like cross-legged, floating kind of like with a staff in its hands. And that kind of makes it feel wise, right? It was floating in the air. So there's like adjectives you want to use to describe what the thing is. And if you don't have definitions for that, then yeah, what you're going to end up with is something that's kind of like pretty standard or like undefined. So here, I'm going to give you like an idea. The hood makes me think assassin. You know, are they underhanded? You know, are they like wily, or are they honorable and sagely? Maybe he's got his eyes kind of more like shut. Maybe he's unimpressed. You know, maybe he's kind of floating off the ground. You kind of want to like make it look like the stats that the player should think that it has. What posture has the potential to do is describe what the enemy's intent is. If you see someone standing at a starting block, their posture tells us what they can do. Kind of like muscles are like springs. We're ready to launch forward because we're bending down, right? His legs are a little bit bent, but his arms aren't really telling us that he's going to do anything. Is he going to throw these orbs at us? It doesn't look like he's going to, because he's holding them like this. You know, maybe, ooh, I like this forward lean. And I love experimenting with this stuff. And I think that the other thing that's really worth mentioning for this whole conversation is actually about foreshortening. So this arm, the idea is that you've got like, you know, if the chest is here, this arm is going like this, and then it's coming towards us back the other way. Okay, it's physically shorter on the screen than it would be if it was straightened out this way, because it's crossing back towards the body. Like my arm right now, we understand how perspective works. It doesn't look bad. You don't expect it to be this long on the screen. Same thing with like leaning forward. Like this head, if you tilt it forward like this in front of the body, it takes on a different feeling. The fact that it's sitting on top, like as I lean forward, look at what happens to my neck. As I lean forward, my neck kind of like disappears because my head's in front of it. It's hard to really achieve a dynamic pose if you're not prepared to have things overlap other things. Hey pal, quick intermission. This video is sponsored by me. The game I've been working on, Insignia, since like the start of my channel, finally has a page on Steam. You can wishlist it right now. There's a link in the description. And basically all of the support that I get from people who click that button helps me know what the demand is like, helps us get publishers and extra funding opportunities down the line, and one step closer to the game's release. I'm really proud of it. And if you could show your support there, I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the video. I mean, that's how I design this stuff. Like I'll sit here and I'll find the pose first. I'll just draw a blob and I'll be like, okay, where is the character in this blob? And while it's like this, it's really easy to just break stuff up and play around with it and not worry too much about getting it perfect because there's no details. Play with it until the shapes feel like something, and then like uncover those shapes and refine them more. And then at a certain point, you need a shade because you just can't see things properly without them. This is hard to do. This isn't easy to do. It takes a long time to learn how to do this. And it takes me a while to get there. And I would push it further if I could. So like, what can I do again with like the design elements to take this pose and make it go further? And don't be afraid, like if something's not right, like don't be afraid to take the scissors out and just cut it up, you know? I think a lot of like Street Fighter characters are designed that way. Oh yeah, MOBA characters. Yeah, exactly. They're made to be identified based on their silhouette. And then once you've got the shapes laid out, then you can start thinking about, okay, like what do these shapes, like how do I want to paint these shapes to reflect the thing that they are supposed to be? So maybe I just replace this color with this color with this, keep this there. Maybe we want to have this be a little bit less exposed. Got his chaos orb in the belt. And then I would push it even further, you know, maybe make him lean back even more. Go full JoJo. All right, I'm going to stop here. How was that? Was that good enough advice? Hey pals, just interrupting myself here for a second to address a point that I think is really important. So during the video, I'm saying this word, pushing it further, taking it further, or I'll say something like make it more confident or give it more, see what we can do more with it. And I want to explain what this word means. What do I mean by further in this context? So we're looking at here the original sprite that was sent to me, and then what I've kind of ended up doing with it. So to me, this pretty much comes down to this idea of like design confidence and focus in design. It's almost like concentrate in like fruit juice, right? Like if you get apple juice and you mix it with like 90% water, it's still apple juice, but like it doesn't taste enough like what you expect it to. You can taste the flavor, but you're not getting a lot of it. So when I was asking the viewer earlier about like what it is that this character does, I'm asking for what the juice is, like what is the intended flavor? And then the question becomes, how do we extract more of that flavor out of the image? How do we make the image say on all channels, I am apple juice? What that really means is that all of the different parts of the design contribute to expressing one clear design intent, one message. So in this case, like we know that this is a mage who throws fireballs. Can we see the fireballs? Are they clear? Do they contrast well with the rest of the character, or do they look like an extension of the arms, right? Seeing this color into this color, into this color, into this color. It's very, very gradual. So we might not even tell that these are separate orbs or fireballs. You know, techniques you can use there to create more contrast is distance. You can change the colors to be more separate. You could give the fireballs their own color. So in my case, I'm cheating a little bit because it's a little bit bigger, but let's make the fireballs stand out a bit more. Okay, how can we give them some contrast, something to play against that makes them stand out? In this case, I've made the arms darker, or at least made the fireball sit against the arm so that its color, its bright blue, is directly contrasting with the dark blue of the arm. And having that foreshortening helps me do that. If I put this all the way out here, it mightn't be as strong of a contrast. Another one is just the shapes themselves, right? We talked about the silhouette. This silhouette, I think, is a bit more mechanically loaded. So the weight on the back foot, this being bent, helps us think about the leg being able to twist and pivot as the orb is kind of thrown. And while I was refining this just now, I was thinking a little bit about shot put in the Olympics. And I'll go and I'll look at references of things. So like, how do athletes doing specific activities move their body when performing that activity? What kinds of posture do they have to use in order to get the most out of what they're trying to do? And that min-maxing, that's kind of what I'm talking about when we're talking about that pushing further or getting more juice out of it. It's like, what would somebody who was doing the most version of this look like? And are we looking at something that's in that direction, or are we more towards just a standing idle frame where not much is happening? Likewise, I've used a little bit more dramatic colors in the clothing to highlight the differences in the depth of the limbs. So like this color here, this light tells us that there's like sunlight that can fall onto the knee here. It helps me demonstrate where the knee is and the angle that the leg is at, even though the leg is kind of underneath this skirt component of the covering. And I think actually our original artist did a good job here. Having this kind of curl back behind the leg also informs depth. It's good. So I'm just doing that a little bit more here. Also just conveying energy with the forms as well. So in my case, like I've got it like almost like there's wind kicking up, right? There's like that magical aura that's making the clothing kind of like have a bit less gravity to it. It feels more dynamic. Maybe we're imagining that the character has just taken this pose and the clothing is just still settling. Or maybe it's that Studio Ghibli thing where when a character is angry, their hair stands on end and raises up. And reflecting on this process, right, where I sort of started and what was happening with the limbs here, I think it's really clear that like the point of this process, the reason why it works for me is because what's there on the canvas has so little commitment in it that it's easy to make changes without feeling like I've wasted energy and time. We're just looking at blobs. We're not even caring about the fact that there are pixels, scattered around. We're not caring about the fact that it looks bad, but we're just iterating on it, pushing it into something that feels like more of what we were hoping to see, more of what looks valid to us. But that involves, at first, having that thought process of, okay, what would it look like for my character to meet some archetype that I have in my mind? Once you've got that brief and you know what you're looking for, and you've got some references either in your mind or that you're looking at directly that kind of tell you in the ballpark of what you're hoping to see, then you can go through this process of just playing with shapes until you get something that says what you want it to say. And you can see here, right? Like I have, this version is a lot closer to our artist's version here. Very similar. I've started there and I'm thinking, okay, what makes me think that he's going to throw it at me more than this? Okay, well, the orb being up in the air gives me that impression a bit more because, it's like being lobbed at us. So when I say further or more, what I really mean is having a clear distinction and definition of what it is that your character should be saying, what defines your character, and then going further to ask the question of each of your elements, do these contribute to expressing that brief? Do they sell the thing that you're trying to sell? Do they say what you're trying to say? Okay. If it's something that I can do that's valuable for you, that gives you something interesting to look at and entertaining to or informative, like that's all I can really hope for. I'm not going to judge myself on it.